Yo, what's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Classic Quest podcast. This is the show where we talk about albums, the hip hop variety, stuff like Spinabenz is the Tornado Kid. We go through it track by track, giving thoughts and opinions on every single song. My name is Holden Stephan Roy, and like I said, we will be talking about Spinabenz, the Tornado Kid project, and giving thoughts and opinions on every single song on this album. That's kind of what we do over here. But my name is Holden Stephan Roy. I may not have said that. It is now 9:31 in the morning. I'm not usually doing these in the morning, but I had the day off because of the Easter holiday, and I'm like, we got some extra time. Let's do the Spinabenz project because low-key, y'all may not know this, but I've been really waiting for this for a minute. I like to start off these reviews kind of contextualizing my familiarity with the artist. Like, I'm aware that y'all may be looking at me like, why is this dude talking about Spinabenz? I'm up in Montreal. I'm all the way up in 34. I'm in a whole different sphere of life. But you got me with the Who I Smoke. The Who I Smoke tapped into the Vanessa Carlton, it hit me, hit my nostalgia, and it was just too lit. And then the next premiere came, and I think it was I Don't Smoke Kendra or whatever. And then I started digging into the Spinabenz catalog, and I was like, yo, I really like what Spinabenz does. So, like, half these premieres that have come on YouTube in the last year, I've been there. I've been watching them when they go live. I've been sharing them on my Facebook and whatnot. And I just really, really, really enjoy the sounds. When I saw a country gospel drill song drop, was watching the video and saw there's a project. And I figured we should do it. And then now we're here. So by we, it's me. Usually there's a we, but the other one's got work. I don't have work right now, so I figured I'd come do it. With all that being said, I like to also just make sure that we touch on the title, the cover, give a little bit of that so that you guys get some understanding of what's going on there, my thoughts on it. Also, fair use. I digress. I really like the cover. It's really fun. It just looks like some superhero shit. Like he's decked out in like a whole ass superhero. Can I make that bigger? Yeah, we'll do it like that. Whole ass like fucking superhero costume looking thing. Stuff blowing around. Makes me picture Florida. Makes me picture that whole like energy of chaos and everything like that. I really like it. I really think this is a compelling cover. And the outfits fly. And he just kind of has a maniacal grin on his face. He's a tornado kid. Causes destruction. That's what we're going to get with this. That's the energy. It's going to be chaotic. It's going to be a whole vibe. And I kind of like the way that, like, the title of the album introduces him like a fucking superhero. Like, everything about this is just exciting. Like, what are we going to get? Spinabenz is just bigger than just, like, a rapper or whatever. He a whole-ass hero. It's like a whole vibe. And I really like it a lot. I have a lot more to say about it. There's a whole bunch of tracks on the project. We are live on Twitch while I'm recording this, so you won't see me playing them on YouTube, twitch.tv/BehindThatSuit if you do want to join the ride and watch them live. Typically, we do it Sundays at 12 p.m. Eastern. And on that note, let's get into the first track, Never Think That. That's the first one, Never Think That. It just starts you off on a whole vibe. Like, I really like the melodic energy that just kind of comes through. I feel like it adds this whole somber emotion to the track where, like, we're not starting off the story in this super happy, boisterous, or even aggressive place. It's more like pensive, walking around, lost in your head shit, like just trying to reflect and lament on the consequences of everything. Like when it all goes down, everybody disappeared, don't nobody come around, like just that kind of energy of dealing with people. It feels like a lot of stuff has happened, and it's definitely not the beginning of his career, but like, I'm not going to talk about the street shit. Like, that is what it is. Like, obviously, I don't know a lot about the streets, but, and when I even talking about drill in the first place, I'm like, I don't know what to say about all of that stuff. And I watched Trap Lord Ross's fucking Vulture shit, but really the music in this is insane to me. It's really about, like, his flow is just so impeccably put together. The way he creates this versatility, he can switch between the singing and the erratic layering of rhythms. The way he comes in kind of early on his flow a lot. Like the way he enunciates stuff with just the right level of, I don't want to call it mumbling because I feel like Northerners just call Southern shit mumbling, even though it's not. But like that whole like effect, just everything is just so balanced in such a way where it creates this aesthetic where a lot of people will sound very similar to this and not hit me the way that Spinabenz does, because a lot of people do sound similar in the kind of genre. And it just, his voice, his delivery, really, I find the energy of his tracks, like there's this strength in how he spits his shit, mixed with this like you want to get up and boogie energy to it, mixed with this like super sense of self-awareness and a complex array of emotions that come out. And I think a lot of this project is going to show us the various emotions that he goes through, and in this one we get a lot of that lonely and the isolation and the questioning things, or like I don't have anyone to call but they all call me and shit. Like you start to question stuff, or you're like, kind of, who do you turn to? But everybody's turning to you, and it almost feels like he's going through the consequences of success coming from the environment that he comes from. And then you realize as you start to rise up in life through different channels and things that a lot of these emotions are super comparable no matter where you're at, as long as you're trying to get on that grind and do it proper. So I heard this one and it slapped. The video is pretty well made. Overall, I enjoy their videos. I don't have a lot to say about videos usually, but overall, this song just starts off the project strong. And as far as the bars go, I can't be like it's the most like lyrical in the sense of the poetry is so profound. It's the most like well written. Nah, it's different. It's like he's saying the right things that make me just go, damn, this dude be really going through it. It's like so connecting in his poetry, and I really like that. I really like the fact that instead of trying to be overly superfluous, he just taps into the right energies to slap you in the way his voice hits the beat, and the fact that he just says the right things to like convey that. I don't know, maybe that wasn't the best introing, but I like the song a lot. It's like a 4.5 to me. It's a good start to the project. Not my favorite on the project, but it's a really good start. Let's move on to Murder Talk Part 3. My first thoughts on this is, damn, I'm still adjusting to the era of 2-minute songs. Like, it's wild to me how short this song is. But then I think about punk music, and punk music's short, slaps, higher paced, higher energy, comes in, does its thing, beats the shit out of you, and goes home. And this is punk as fuck. I really like it. I think that's one of the reasons I find a lot of his music so appealing. It's short, it's concise, it's got this energy of pure, like, flagrant disregard to what you think, and it really just hits into the centers of me that always appealed to punk music. So this isn't even like I'm fucking with it like in the same way I would fuck with hip-hop even. I'm fucking like this, like it's punk music, like that's what I really found appealing about this whole like Spinabenz vibe. This is like a higher energy. Like we go from like, I guess, the lamenting of actions and consequences, and then I guess after you think about shit, you get mad, and then you come back with it. And it's like an interesting amount of braggadocio kind of. This is the part where, again, it's always been kind of weird. Like the murder side of it is just so disconnected from my life. Like I don't really know how to comment on it. I know it's an environment that's not mine, a world that's not mine, everything about it that is not connected to me. Shit even goes on in my city, but like, again, it's just out of the realms of what I understand. In spite of that, it's hard. Like the way he's approaching it, the way he blatantly says shit, or even the fact stuff like, oh, you kill people? Okay, cool, that don't impress me. Kill some more. Like that kind of energy is just like, damn. Because that's the type of shit where, like, when you read the ruthlessness of the corporate baron tycoons and various people, it's the same energy. It's the same shit. It's just manifesting in a way that's different. So when I spot it, I'm, like, always going to find that kind of stuff appealing. Or the way he flexes, like, y'all just be making videos. I made an album on my own. Or it's just these different little things where it's, like, he really out there just trying to prove who he is and to get his place in a world of haters and oppositions and shit. It's just like a big-ass verse. There's no chorus or anything. He just fucking gives the energy, dips out. And arguably, it's pretty impressive, right? Like, because I feel like a lot of us older cats kind of undersell what the young ones be doing. But just like a good, like, fucking proper come through. The whole song feels like it's just plugged with hooks. Like, there's just so many moments that you could find yourself latching onto a lyric and just spitting it back. And I feel like that is what really differentiates between some of the more I'ma outright you with the most complex bar shit versus I'ma write some shit that people want to say. I feel like Spinabenz has really tapped into that. The video is just fun. He just be like mashing out, and just when he's like pounding and shit, like it's just got this energy that makes you want to turn up with Spinabenz. Like if this guy ever comes to Montreal, I would go to the show. Like that's like the energy he's on. Like I just want to see that live. It seems super fun. The beat's really good. Just makes me want to bounce around. Like this is more my speed of a track in general than the last one. I'm less drawn to it, but like I feel like in the first two tracks he's communicated I got you ladies and I got you dudes in the first two tracks, and I think that's a really strong start to it. I like this one more. I give it a 4.75. Like I really could like, I don't think you guys get it. Like I can't be that objective. I hear Spinabenz music and it's like this shit's fire. So I don't know if I'm being objective. I just really like Spinabenz's shit. Anyway, let's move on to the first non-video on this project, No More Parties on Sundays. So this is a really impressive song as far as like content goes, right? And even if you think about it, I feel like one of the things people struggle with a lot of projects, like when you, especially 20 tracks, right? You see 20 tracks, you're like, eesh, I hope this is not going to be the same song 20 times, and it's not. We on track 3 here. And in track 3, it's like, so track 1, lamenting on the situations and the vibes of the environment. Track 2 is I be better than other people. But then track 3 is, this battle of substance abuse and partying and how that impacts my life and the internal struggle of not wanting to party, but then days go by and partying again. And I'm like, that's one of the most relatable fucking songs. Honestly, like, I think most people end up in a situation, and it might not be so much partying like drugs. It could be other things. It could be shopping addictions. But this is like really tapping into addictive centers of like multiple angles, especially when he's like, and I don't need nobody telling me about me. I kept it real, dog. Everybody doubted me. Like that has like an interesting point. Like almost like there's a correlation between the way people talk and add pressure to your life and the way people maneuver around you and this desire to escape via substances because like it helps, and it's like you associate all of these habits with partying and whatnot, but at the end of the day there are consequences to it, and just 3 or 4 drinks in, shit is not the same no more. And it's just so interesting how he's both proclaiming how he doesn't want to party anymore, and in the same fucking chorus is like, but it's 5 o'clock somewhere, just pass me the styrofoam. Like this is like, because like, I don't know if you've ever tried to struggle with some shit where like, you'll be like in the moment like, this is the last time I'm ever gonna smoke a fucking joint. I'm going sober for a week after this shit. And then like the next day you're like, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, be past it. Like that shit is just a hit. Like and it's really, to me, it has like a level of depth to it where if you are somebody out there struggling with shit, it's like, there is that back and forth, and it's fucking honest. And I'm not saying it's like nobody's ever talked about this before, but usually like the I don't want to party anymore or whatever song doesn't come out with such a level of self-contradiction, which taps into the center of that battle that people go through when dealing with this shit. Meanwhile, the song just sounds fire. Like the hook gets stuck in your head and he just rides that beat proper, and like the way he's like pump pump, and he like that beat like kind of flips into that, and he's like 1 drink 2 drink, and he just kind of like slaps into it. And I really feel like he showcases his musicology and his ability to leverage his voice as like an instrument to like fit into the groove of the song in a really cool way that makes them dynamic and alive. So I super appreciated this one. It's like a 4.75 as well. It's really well made, and I'm really into this project so far. 3 tracks in. So let's move on to why I did that. I like this one. It's so hard. He just comes in. I could picture myself moshing to this shit. Just like, this is one of those songs where like I would be like sitting there minding my own business in a public location like the office place. It would come up and I couldn't help it. I'd be doing some shit like that at my desk, looking goofy, disrupting people around me, because it just fucking comes in with that. Makes me want to get up and boogie kind of energy, like just punk as fuck. I like it a lot. This is back on that shit where like, questioning the credibility of others whilst professing, without directly saying it a bit, that he done did that. I really like the statute of limitations line. That's an interesting point, especially because there is a statute of limitations 10 years later where I live. I mean, I know it's not where you live, But where I live, there's absolutely a statute of limitations, and that actually has an impact on the hip hop because you just can't admit to shit ever in your bars, which is fascinating. So I feel like Montreal like cannot actually create the same level of music, of hardness and flagrant admitting to things with specific details as other places because we don't have a statute of limitations. So that's like, or we do, or whatever. Crimes you're always able to get prosecuted for. It's like a debate because sometimes people wildly will go after somebody like 17 years later for some shit. So I always think that's an interesting difference between Canadian and American street music is that one detail changes so much in what people can actually say in their bars. I digress. I really like, I think I might invest in the stocks with Black and Decker. All I know is drill hoe. I mean, even I got a Black and Decker drill. Like, he's really clever, and the way he like flips up his entire tonality is what really got me on Spinabenz. It's like he's got like 2 or 3 octaves that he really plays comfortably in. Like, he can go up and down. He's comfortable with the various effects, and the way he like flicks his voice into that like kind of more leaned out style, just mid verse, just like flips the flow entirely and kind of gives you this whole new energy, like he's featuring somebody else, but it's just himself. Maybe is he featuring? No, he's not featuring nobody. So it's just like him, and he's able to, with his versatility, carry songs because he's just got like a lot of ways of coming about it. He's not really a one-trick Charlie. I'm really impressed with it. The overall vibe and energy are like the way he just goes, this sounds like some, and just like leaves it hanging, you know? Like, I like that kind of aesthetic where it leaves a lot to your imagination too, but still convinces you this is exactly what the fuck it is. This shit slaps pretty hard. It's a 4.5. I really like the beat too. I agree. I liked his and how he says that shit. I like this beat here, gang. I really like the beat. It is what it is. Anyway, let's move on to My Lil. It's another little short one. I feel like this one is interesting. I might be wrong, but it feels like he's commenting on the young ones around him. I mean, from what I can tell, he's 24-ish. He's around that age from what I Googled. I might be off a little bit. It's Google. But so he's at the point, I guess, where he's starting to see, like, you know, the next one's coming in. And then people who would probably be listening to his music too, right? And so I feel like, again, like he's, like, super aware of, like, the consequences about the environment and, like, his place within it and all of this shit is what it kind of feels like. And I guess he sees a lot of people emulating shit that they don't understand. Or like whatever, like Malo rep the gang for life, but he don't wear no flag is an interesting line to me, right? Because yo, like high key, like even people I know in my life rep gang and shit, like they just like say it, you know, like they'll really put that association on it. Like I try to be actually careful to not say that shit. Like I'll like maybe have my one little data gang goof I made up as like a little thing to like kind of point out that the way corporations act is really similar to gang activity because people kind of don't see how corporations really use street shit and vice versa. Like it almost seems like the two are got a synergy to them, but like mafia was based on corporations, like the Italian shit, so like there is a synergy between the two of them. But like, yeah, man, wildly I see people saying shit where I don't think they fully understand the consequences, or like you'll see a lot of rappers and shit in like small town Ontario who like maybe there's some tough shit there, but they're not like Montreal or other places where it's like more sincerely like different vibes. It's like different vibes where it's like people don't fully understand what they're saying sometimes, is I guess what I'm conveying with. So I kind of took that from this, and then I really thought the interesting part was Turn Up Murder Talk Part 3, and I'm on Genius, so if I'm quoting this wrong, it is what it is, but Turn Up Murder Talk Part 3, and like Talk Murder Talk When Y'all Sleep, and it's like, yo, I think back to like Who I Smoke, right? Like the number of people that was like literally just naming the people in the song without really considering what was being said, and people just listen to the music as music but don't necessarily care about the other side of it, like, and maybe there's some consequences to that in the way that things happen. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying there should be an onus of responsibility on the listener to like have that respect and appreciation for what they're putting on, but that isn't, critical thinking isn't really taught to people. It's highly a privilege in life. So this is where we're at. I don't know. This was my tangent. This is how this works. I think about things with the song and I talk about it and I just rant a bit. Musically, this one plays with repetition really well. It's not my favorite, but he does it really well in terms of how he can convey this almost sense of reaching out to a whole younger generation while simultaneously it feels like he's talking to a single person. And that's really cool. The melodies and stuff that he employs on this track, I feel like it didn't grab me as much, but it's a style thing more than a talent thing. So I'm going to give it like a 4.25. It's still a really good song. And like when you're bumping it in the flow of the album, it flows really nice, but I just feel like I like other ones more on the project. Let's move on to Stepped On. So yeah, I'm noticing a trend on this album, right? And it's called the Tornado Kid. So I suppose when you think about tornadoes, you think about a vibrant inconsistency, spinning, round and roundness. So it feels like track one gonna be like, let's call it soft lamenting or some like not aggressive track, and then track two gonna be aggressive and repeat that cycle, which I think creates like a really alive feeling on this album. And because the songs are so short and the beats do change up a lot, you're kind of not like losing interest. He does kind of go back to it. I feel like these songs are very comparable, but the other songs he brings in to splice it up are really different enough to really showcase the versatility and show a range of topics so that you don't like get caught with the monotony of it. But even then, within the more, let's say, aggressive songs, he keeps adding new shit to it, like the whole second part here, like the bitch sing like a choir, swear to bitch sing like it's Keisha, like it's Ashanti, like it's Mariah, Whitney Houston, I'm on 2X spin. That shit was like, damn, because like when they say they sing to the like that, like it's in reference to snitching and shit, right? Like, so people be singing with such level of skill and finesse that they may as well be the goats of singing. Like, woof, that's pretty fucking, that slaps is all I'm trying to say. Overall, I enjoyed this one a lot. It makes me again get back on my want to jump around and move shit. I don't know what to say about the who killed who part of it. That's not my business. But the way he says shit is hard. The way that he has the conviction. And again, it's from this position of like, don't do dumb shit for the clout. Like, this stupid person finna die for some damn followers. It's like, man, like, think about your actions before you proceed to do things. And you got to imagine in a game of clout and shit, people be wildly compromising the safety of others for clout. Again, like, I've read the white people news versions of some of this shit, and I don't really think it's true to the extent that the news reports on it. But there'd be like wildly people who are just doing things, violent things for social media, from what I understand. And that's an interesting idea. Like, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that I've heard reports that people will be doing shit literally to post on the gram, and it's like wild to me to consider it like that. Anyway, I don't know, again, the truth of that. Like, if I'm reading it in the news, already I have a high level of skepticism in terms of the intent of what that news piece is going to be. And then it just left me to, like, ponder shit. But, again, you hear bars like this and you know about clout chasing and all that other shit. And it's like there seems to be people that are trying to escape a life and people that want to perpetuate a life online. And I don't know. They're different vibes. And I kind of like I just want to see Spinabenz win, Get out this shit. Get where he needs to be. I digress. This one slaps hard. It's a 4.5. The beat's really cool. It just, like, I really like it. He's like, again, he doesn't need hooks because the way he delivers practically the whole song could, like, any part of it could just end up being the hook to you. And you'll just start finding lines you want to sing along to and slam it. It's pretty cool. Let's move on to Nothing Left for Me. And like I said, like, the last song was kind of aggressive, and this song flips into some pensive shit. And this one, again, shows a whole different spectrum to, you know what, it's kind of like, these songs are almost like, this is why I'm mad. Like, these are the things I really think about that don't have answers and shit. And this one was so creative in the way he's, like, describing, why you saying I don't have my time yet, etc., etc. But then he flips it to, call her 911. Crime Stoppers. I'd like to report a crime. I'd like to report this red car. A young man with dreadlocks, like the one in the backseat had a big gun. They must be looking for the boys. Be down the street, they never listen. Up all night making noise for the life of drug dealing. You never know who be watching you on the low. And then you're like, ooh, that is interesting, right? So he goes from the situation of like a typical don't be snitching situation to describing like this is what the phone calls are like, yo. Like people be wildly like watching, they see you cruising around, you don't know, and it's not necessarily strangers. It's people who might know you got that gun behind that back seat, you know? There's people who might know things about you. And, yo, it's wildly like that at work, too. It's wildly like that everywhere in your life. You really have to maneuver in a way where people will look for any opportunity to clip you. Because if you give them one, they will take it. And even sometimes people will just interfere in your shit just because, you know, they like watch for it, they don't like what you're doing or whatever. But the idea of just somebody just like going out of their way to like call the cops on you and shit, and then to immediately move that into shit like I just gave you 2,000 here, you need 3,000 more for, like the way people are now just showing up in your life to take things. And it's almost like, oh, if you don't give them the money, that phone call that was just described might happen, you know? Or the like Shotty, you drinking my shit, but you never helped me pour up. Like just this idea that people take from them all the time. And then to end it with like that I'm rich as fuck kind of proclamation. Like I don't need y'all. In spite of all these obstacles, I got there and I did the thing. And I'm really kind of like proud of myself, even though, you know, people just kind of take from you. If I give them everything, what I might have left for me. You know, it's a big statement. And I guess it's just something I personally relate to with some of the micro versions of my struggles because I'm not rich as fuck. Yo, Spinabenz, you want to do an interview? No, that's all I'm saying. Anyway, actually, I did want to say that earlier, but I forgot. But, like, for real, like, I'm not. But even in my micro versions of moving through the navigations of life, you encounter enough moments where you're like, yep, I get it. I only imagine what my future going to be like. I know where it's going, and it's going to be a lot of that shit. I don't know about the police part, but the taking the money and all that shit, yeah, that's what's gonna happen. I digress. I don't want to get into some like morosely ranty shit, but it sounds really deep, and I think it's really showing again another side of dude that like makes this album just feel more complete and lets you know who Spinabenz is beyond just a dude with a cool haircut walking around with choppers and shit. I gave it a 4.75. It's really nice. Next one blew my mind, though. The first time I heard it, I wasn't sure about it. Now I really fucking like it. Let's talk about Country Gospel Drill Song. This sounds pretty brilliant. Like, I mean, country's allowed to talk about a lot of shit that rap music's not allowed to talk about. So, like, the fact that, like, these bars just fit so well over a country thing. I mean, obviously, he's more coming at it from the drill perspective with his bars, but when you really listen to this and you think about how country people be wildly talking about hunting and shooting shit and all of the shit country boys be doing, like wildly guns be appropriate in the country even if white boys in the city don't like that shit. Because I'm a city boy, we don't listen to fucking country up here. Like, nobody does. Like, that was always my biggest grievance in the comments when people criticize me, like, go talk about country, like, you know about country. No, B, I don't know fuck all about country. The country people would hate me just as much as other people might hate me. But with that, I always find country and hip-hop seem to end up being allowed to talk about, like, they talk about very similar things, but when country does it, like, it's okay for, like, the average middle-class white person. So I think that juxtaposition is fucking ridiculous, and the way he does the video and just taps into all this country culture shit and then pulls out the gun and you're like watching him with the rifles and shit and you're like, damn, man, country dudes really be allowed to be doing this shit and nobody really says shit. And it's just hilarious. And the monster truck, that's an ill ride. I really like this song, and the way he just hits it, it's pure hooks, man. Like, I'm gonna be going around being like, I said today I feel like killing today. I said today I feel like, I don't even know if I should be singing that shit. I never feel like killing. But like, I can't even have it. Gonna grab my chopper. It's too hot. Like, it's too good. It's just like, he's so aware of what he's doing. Like, he did Who I Smoke. He knows exactly what the fuck he's doing. And the juxtaposition shit's hot. Like, I had the pleasure of interviewing Raz Hendricks like 2 days ago, and that dude be doing the juxtaposition shit too, where like, you know, like soft ass R&B big ballad songs and like fucking rapping hard shit about robbing and killing on it. So like, I already like that shit in general, but when I heard it, because it just plays to expectations. Like, Why can't soft music be hard? Or why can't other things? You know, like it kind of breaks the box a bit. So that kind of shit has excited me since Linkin Park introduced me to nu metal. But like, y'all hear, I don't know, this song just is so fun. And then the way he just ends it with like the "This a Country Gospel Drill" song, like he's just fucking with you in a sense. Like this is, I'm not even sure if this is a troll song, a meme song, a sincere song, or all three, because it feels like it's all three at once. Like like at first, like it's the irony and the juxtaposition that's supposed to like get you in, but then you're stuck because it's actually a good song, and that makes this a 5 on 5 to me. Like excellent. It's like an excellent track. I mean, at least as far as me being willing to throw this on. Like, I don't know. I don't know what he was going for in his heart and soul. I'm just left with my interpretations. But holy shit, this works because it has this giant, ironic, extra meta layer to it that attracts me heavy. Anyway, let's talk about Dead Part 2. Yeah, so right after that kind of more out there song, we go right back in with the hard hitting, pull you in. It's almost like we do something a little different. Let me remind you who I am. I'm still Spinabenz, y'all. And I kind of think that's what the Tornado Kid feels like. And I like that shit. It's a real complex human being. And I appreciate that the music is showing that, as opposed to it just being like a one-dimensional artistry about being hard or about the success. It feels like this is the Tornado Kid. Like we're being introduced to a playable character in a video game, and this is really well done for album making. I mean, I do get the feeling by track 17 I might not have insightful fucking commentary already. I'm not as inclined to be like, yo, this is on that hard shit. I love the way they fucking come with the energy. What I thought was super interesting is at the beginning of the third verse, because like Genius isn't telling me who's saying what, and they have similar voices, so like I don't know who the fuck is where. Sorry about that, y'all. But like, they kind of sound like they're like rapping over each other's lines, or there's like this conversational feel, like there's like 4 or 5 separate vocal layers interlaced at certain parts of this track that I think is just so fuller and creates a different vibe. But then it strips back into like this sparse, you know, singular track by like the end of the verse, which makes it fucking doper in terms of an aesthetic. I mean, they're hard, they're doing their thing. I don't know. The lines are pretty solid. I do like the line where he's like, I think my Choppa do hair, it cuts your dreads. That was to me innovative. It was a little humorous. But again, I don't feel that comfortable going on about the nature of the content in terms of a good, bad, whatever. It's not like, what can I say? It sounds hard. It's supposed to sound hard. It does its job in that regard. But yeah, basically, this song kind of fucking slaps to me too. It's again on that mosh pit punk shit, proving that shit. I like it a lot. Sorry if it's not the most insightful commentary this time around, but I would say it's a 4.5. It still does its thing. And let's move on to the next one. Don't picture. Oh, the beat's hard. I didn't even say that. The beat's hard. Like the beat is again partly what I think. I think Spinabenz's ability to pick the beats he does. Because that's a huge part of it. Like, people wildly act like, oh, the producer does all the work. Motherfucker, rapper still had to pick the beat. Like, there's still an element of taking that beat and writing that song and finding the right, like, series of beats to put in a row to make it dope. Like, from a curation point of view, I do believe Spinabenz got some ill beat-picking game. So, yeah, let's move on then to Don't Picture Me Rolling. I feel like in the midst of all of these different like short hard hitting songs, like this one comes through again on that like pensive side. It's a little more poppy in like the vibe of just trying to again express some softer shit. I don't want to call it soft because, you know, but like it's that emotional side. It's that like, yo, pensive, I gotta think through it. And in my opinion, the soft shit's pretty hard, but I mean, that's a whole other meta conversation. I digress. I really love this. Really, I could drop an album. I ain't got a dissa. That line, like, from the first time I heard it on my first listen, because trust, this isn't the first I didn't listen to it as many times as I wanted to. Usually I like to do more listens to a project before I review it. I know it's been out for a minute. Life's busy. It is what it is. But that line hit me like, wow, it's like this level of, yo, instead of the life I've lived per se, or the way that I've approached my career or everything, it's like I don't even have to do that no more. I could drop an album. I could just go be the best like no one ever was. And everything I spit is facts. The shit they spit is fiction. They'll never see a mill. They ain't living how I'm living. And that part too is like, I'm not in his lane of life, but yo, people don't live like I live sometimes. And I feel like, yo, when you live a certain ethic, you achieve a certain level of evolution. Rich, success, it's all relative. People want what they want in life, and it's super relative. But once you have your own goals, you got to be living at 100, right? And a lot of people I've met don't live at 100. So it's like pipe dream shit. It's like everybody talking, but how many people really out there living at 100? And I'm terrible at living at 100. I'm so fucking bad at it. Like, I'm not fronting. Like, if I was good at living at 100, I would be rich. But I'm not. I'm learning. Still a work in progress. But when I hear that shit, it resonates with me. Overall, this track flows through. I like the more melodic side. I feel like it's more of an easy listening song. Like, you can just kind of coast to this. Like, if you were at the show, you're a little sweaty from just jumping around. You have a chance to catch your breath. But I like the fact that this is about his authenticity, his goals. Like, yo, everybody be living in a way I don't feel comfy with. I'm going to go out there. And I even like the line, clever young person, I could probably outwrite these 3 poets. Oh, my words love to be spoken. That's actually ill because, I was talking about how he's trying to write to be quoted, which is a fire thing to do. Like, in music, you should be aiming to be quoted more than you should be aiming to be impressive, is my opinion on where I stand at this phase of my life. And just the fact that he does that spoken word poetry kind of flip, that's cool. Like, it's like to know in your soul, like, I could do that backpacker shit, but I'm doing this wavy shit instead because I know how to do this. I'm just trying to get to where I need to be. It feels like there's a bigger mission and purpose to his accomplishments. Like, this is like a way to get to where he needs to be. But he also loves music, and you can hear it in the way he has that versatility. That's why I think Spinabenz is super special. Plus, I didn't say it yet, but the haircut's pretty fly. Alright, I'm giving this a 4.35. It's a little less my, like, I want to bump it every day kind of track, but I fucking appreciate it stills. And I really do believe this entire project is consistently, like, you can bump this shit from A to Z, but you also have to kind of be like me and really fucks with this shit. If you don't fucks with this shit, though, still go through it. Because, like, yo, he be hitting you with random shit. Like, you can't tell me country, gospel, drill sound like anything else on a project, and you never know what you gonna be hit with next. So let's bump the more stories. Yo, what's up, y'all? This one here is cool because it's, like, hard in the sense of the content, still approaching some of the more aggressive sides of things within it, but still on that really soft tip of the melodic. You know, like, I'm trying to show emotion. There's, like, a stress to it. Like, that's what it kind of feels like. Like, it's like he stresses. He absorbs this negative energy of the environment, the anxieties that come with shit. And then he snaps and it explodes into these aggression. I gotta go kill. And then it kind of sucks back into it. And I think that's really interesting. The way he's able to convey almost this, like, you're inside of his head more than you think you would be, just because of the back and forth nature of the music and the way he says the various things he says. It just kind of feels like another one content-wise where he's trying to differentiate himself. He wants to not be around the fake folk. He wants to fully embrace, I guess, himself and the success that comes with it. And anybody that's not for him, anybody that's not into the energies that he's putting out into the world, it doesn't matter. It's like almost like I'm there for the dollar, but explaining what that means in a lot bigger of a way without specifically making it about money. So I feel like, in a sense, this track is almost like a little bit of a definition to the I'm in it for a dollar by adding that layer of extra context of why you would be there. I don't know. People be vultures. I don't know. I don't have a lot to say about the specific bars in it. I just appreciate the way it sounds. I like the way he flows on it. And I like the fact that he's coming through with, like, his truth, you know, and you feel the success and the frustration he has with other people. And the one thing I find wild about people who do well in life is how consistently it's the people around them that make the experience miserable. Like, we all seem to be forced to work with people that will ultimately brutus us. I don't know if that's an expression, but like stab us in some way or whatever. And it's almost like we're forced to do it. And because of that, we don't get to have the relationships with people who want us to win. And then by the time we win, there's so much stuff out there that gets perpetuated and is complicated. But I find it crazy how everybody goes through it. And that's the wild part about it. So it's like, I don't know, it's a good song and it got me thinking about all that shit. So 4.4. It's like, again, you're going to notice on this side of Spinabenz, I'm less going to go throw it on every day, but I still really, really enjoy listening to it. I digress. Karma 2X is next. It's got a vibe to it. I like how he kind of has this like slow ass feel to his flow, really spaced out, and then he just like turns it up a notch and just holds that down for like the end of this first verse when he's doing the like one in the head, bitch, ain't no click clack part. That whole like the way he flips up his flow there, I thought was really just like, yo, that just caught me. Overall, we're back on that like aggressive side. Like we've gone through the pensive and it's like he snapped again and he's back out there and he's got the choppa and he's running around and he's doing his thing. He's got this aggression to his voice and his fucking flow on these songs is really amazing. Like I feel like it's impacted me in terms of what I write and what I do because like he's got this crazy sense of timing that just fucks with my conventions of what I would ever do with stuff. And I just think it's so cool. Like, he just doesn't fucking care what you think. And it might sound off the first time, especially if you're, like, super into, like, New York City pockets and shit. But the more I listened to it, the more I liked it, like, a lot. And I feel like I have moved my flow to the left. If that would make sense if you're like a fucking engineer or some shit. But I'll move my flow to the left a little bit because of like the way that Spinabenz does his shit. So like it was just so hot to me. And I really appreciate that shit. I also just like the fact that he's tenacious. It's like he's coming through. He's like, I really enjoyed bitch respect your karma, you know what you did. Now you at war. Or whatever. Like there's this idea of an ethics and a rules to the game that I feel like he adheres to. That it's not like he just has empty beef with people. There's like reasons to everything that happens. And I feel like overall when he says it, it ends it with the tornado kid spinning, you're just kind of left with that. Like you're deeper into the project now, and it is like you've been just spinning and spinning around inside of his head as he kind of bounces between the different emotions. This one's a 4.5. It slaps pretty hard. Let's move on to 24 hours. Yo, it is an interesting idea to consider what a dead man would think if they let them talk. And then we would get like a finality to the who did what sometimes rather than, I guess, the he said, she said. Like the way he starts off that verse, they say Spinna pulled the trigger. I know my lawyer says that ain't admissible in court when I go. They hope I fail. Jail's as far as I go. So that's like an interesting set of bars. So like on trial for some murder shit is what it feels like. I didn't actually Google that. But then it's like the fact that the speculations of what the alive people say are inadmissible in court. But imagine if in the context of court, or if a dead person who was murdered was able to be brought back to life and they could tell you exactly what happened in that moment. How would that impact trials? How would that impact the system and shit? Like, that's such a big idea to me. And then the idea that, like, even if you fail, it's like, nah, I'm going to jail. I'm not dying. You know, like, and even if I were to lose it all, I made it farther than most. You know, like, these are big words and ideas. Like, at this point, I have achieved so much that you can't really take this from me. So even if I die, what's the impact of it? And if I die, how far is it going to go? This side, again, is on that pensive tip, which makes sense because we were just on the aggressive tip. And I think the fact that he can keep coming with these new ideas on this project and twists on the core subject matter of his life and just giving you the sense of, like, I guess the anxiety of testifying in courts and the legal system and the way things play out, like, just little hints to it coming from what he's allowed to speak on. You know, it's fascinating shit. I gave this a 4.5. It really like resonated with me and gave me a lot to like, you know, let my philosophy side go off on while listening to him kind of vibe and prove again that he really is a versatile artist. Let's talk about track 14, Thousands Barbershop. I like this one too. It's kind of back on that, like, out there being himself thing. But it feels more like down to earth on his day-to-day shit. Like, I gotta go do a bunch of shit. They're like, yo, get your hair cut before you come to the shoot. And then people make fun of his haircut. So he's got to remind them that he actually goes through and deals with shit. Like, yo, why are you guys all focused on this? I'm just trying to look fly. Like, they told me to go look fly. So I went to go look fly. Like, that's my job now. And it's like, fair enough. Like, I actually am transitioning into the understanding of the level of depth of what that means to have, like, everything on point every time. It's not the simplest thing if it's not a habit, but it's super important. And he spent $1,000 on his kicks. He put all this effort into this shit, and people are gonna goof on him for like a whatever. So he spent money, and he proves it, and he does all of this shit, and he looks fly, and he crushes it. And then the way that the song flips into, but you know what? Fuck all y'all haters. He's like, he wishes the man takes a bad perk, like overdose, bitch. I don't even care how you die. It's not even about if I take you out. It's just I want your life to no longer be living. Overall, I really think this song slaps. I like the way it evolves, it transitions, it feels like a good full track. I think his flow hits it. I mean, I'm going to probably say this on every single one. So if you're this deep in and like, man, this guy ain't coming up with new shit, I'm sorry. Spinabenz be fired the whole way through. Every song. Because, here's my thoughts. There's timestamps down below. So, like, you might just be clicking to this one song, and this might be the only song you saw. So I got to give it, like, an effort, like, if that's the case, versus if you have watched the whole thing. So it's what it is. Beat's nice, flows up, keeps the versatility alive, but we are later on in the project. Harder to be insightful on that shit. 4.5 on 5. Let's go to Go Part 2. I mean, this one's fucking nice, too. We're at that part of the album. It's just fucking proper, but there's some good bars on this. Like, I don't really give a fuck what they say. I ain't your fucking child, bitch. I ain't finna play. That's a cool bar. Like, sometimes people think, like, life's a game because they be acting like children. But, like, when you were growing up, like, you take shit serious. And I feel like that's one of the weird things I face with people in my life is I take shit fucking serious, like, to a fault. Like, people be like, I don't laugh enough and smile enough and whatever, but to me, like, life be serious. There's so much shit happening, and it's super hard to, like, flip out of that into, like, chill vibes. But, like, I don't know, it just made me think about that when I heard it. I like the fact that it's like he's almost cognizant of the fact that the police are watching, people are paying attention, and he talks too much. And because he talks too much, it kind of creates this situation for himself. Whatever, he just rolls with it. He has that energy. But again, it shows that level of imagine in your day-to-day where, like, you might get in trouble if you speak about what's happening, and you have to always be cognizant of the fact that people, like the cops, be listening specifically to your shit because of the level of whatever's happening to you. You're not the invisible guy no more, and it's not so much you that you have to worry about, it's other people and paying attention to how the people around you maneuver that creates a bit more of the conflict. And that must create more stress. And then he just goes into the more conventional validation of who he is and what he does. I like the bitch you must got amnesia line. That kind of hit hard. The chorus is nice. I appreciate it. The way it flows, the way it breaks up the song into, it feels like when he throws the chorus in, it feels more songy. Some of them feel more like I said, punk. Like a punk snippet of fucking energy, and some of them have a more songy vibe to it. And I think it's cool that, again, he's blending these two main styles throughout the project. This one's like a 4.25. Maybe it's because at this point I heard a lot of them that are similar, and the novel ones are going to give higher grades at this point. But independently, if this track came on, it's fire. So let's move on to Hellcat. This one's nice. It really feels like the poppest shit ever. Like, you're just caught with this, like, this is like pop in how it sounds. Like, super airy, super, like, I could see people throwing this on in the shower, doing dishes, just like vibing around. It's super easy listening. I don't have a lot to comment about the bars because I was just kind of like, yeah, this is nice. This is like a fun song to listen to. Anybody that says days of the week in it, I know this is going to be fucking corny, but like anybody that says days in the week in it, like Monday to I love that shit. I mean, it worked when the Black Eyed Peas did it. It worked when Rebecca Black did it. Y'all hated, but the Black Eyed Peas went #1 with that shit. So, like, it is what it is. It just makes me happy to see that shit. I think it's a fun one. I think it's got like a cool beat, and I think it's important when you're doing a project to showcase that you can do pop. Like, you need to have a couple pop songs. I know a lot of people think it's weird, but like, honestly, when I hear some shit that's just so indie as fuck, where it's like, or all the same, it's like, and then they're criticizing, especially when they criticize pop, but they can't even like do an ironic pop song. It's like, at least do an ironic pop song. Like, prove you can write a pop song, because it's harder. It's harder to write a pop song than it is to write some fucking bars, to be honest. Like, you can write a lot of bars easier than you can write some shit people want to sing, to be honest. So, two-seater, I'm in the coupe with it. Panoramic sunroof, need nobody. I think the roof missing. That's some shit people want to say. I could watch Chris Chrome go ahead and say that shit. You know, like, that's where I see it's at. I'm going to give this one a 4.25. It's a nice one. It's less my favorite, but it serves its function on the album as a proper pop track. Let's move on to Get Back Gang. Yo, got a lot of people wishing I was dead. Police wishing the same shit. Oof. When the cops were wishing you dead, that's like big, right? Like, they can't deal with the problem that is you, so they be wishing that upon you. That's some serious shit. I really appreciated this song too. I feel like its energy kind of lifted it up a bit for me. Got me back into it. It's back on that hard shit. I appreciated the feature from WAP. I like the fact that there's not a lot of features on this project, and it really shows how much he's able to hold it down. But it is kind of nice to have them like change it up and to get the people who can like compete with him. But one of the more interesting parts of this track to me was like, I don't diss no more. I don't condone that, right? Because, like, again, I kind of came in on, like, a diss track he was doing and watching him diss people like that and naming all kinds of shit. So, evidently something changed, you know? And I guess it's like as you evolve, you realize maybe there's consequences to it or something. I don't know. I can only speculate. But he's like, I don't want to rap with people who are kind of playing in that shit, in that lane. I just kind of want to move in a new direction that has me getting to where I need to be. It feels like this is like evolution, or this like recognition of a desire to be something more than was previously there. And I find that super appealing. I also like the fact that when he says they shot up his car, he had it 8 days, he ain't own that. Like, fuck, I don't care if you shot up my car. It's not my car. And that's a big fucking, like, I don't want to call it like a flex, but like it's kind of like a ha. What do you think? I care about that. Like, that's hard to me. Like, I enjoy that shit. Last verse is proper. I don't have a lot of commentary on it, except that it's interesting how, like, you know, they watch where people are at, and like if they don't recognize people, like, it's this idea of people spying on people like that, like the level of we watching. That's like fucking nifty to me. Like, you have to pay such high level of attention in order to maneuver. Like, almost like a spy agency. Anyway, it's a good track. I liked it a lot. 4.5 on 5. Let's move on to the next one. Big Ass Choppa. I'm gonna be real with y'all. I have no idea if the size of a gun has any impact on some shit, but this whole song reminds me of battle rappers within my gun so big bars. However, it's super high energy. The beat's really good. I've heard this one more than the other ones, and there is this phenomenon with music where the more you listen to shit, the more you like it. Whether or not you believe that, you can go Google the sciences if you want. So I really dig it. I've heard this one more than most of the ones on this project, and I'll fucks with it pretty heavy. It's got a great like flow to it. My favorite bar is honestly when he's like, I got whatever, big ass chopper. I look like one of the movie dudes. And I'm like, this at AK-47, I look like one of the movie dudes. I'm just like, that's a great bar, right? Like, people be wildly like talking about comparisons that are just so out there and abstract. He's like, nah, B, I look like one of them guys in the movie with the big gun that's about to come at, you know, like, but it's real life. Or, welcome to orientation. I'm finna take you to Choppa school. Pay attention. I know firsthand. I could teach you anything a chopper could do. And it's just like, I got the gun. I know how to use it. I understand the whole situation. Come by me or not, or understand the consequences. And overall, it's just like a love song to his big ass chopper. And a warning that he's well versed in using this chopper. Overall, it's a good song, and I really appreciate it, and I really enjoyed it. It's a 4.75. And I don't have much more to say about it, so I'm going to move on to I Need a Therapist. Yeah, this one's cool. I wasn't expecting him to come with the singing in the second verse, the like superly duperly layered auto tune where I like it. This is not a criticism. It's just what it is. It's like thick auto tuney melody where he belted out his heart and soul and brought it in this direction, and it just kind of feels nice. Like I feel like the idea of people draining you and having to be on your own in a sense to work on your shit and to focus on your grind and to move things forward is super relatable and important. And I really like that whole verse, and I really like the idea where it's like you kind of have to like focus on improvement, and the idea of just having people doubt you and not believe in you and be left in this place where you feel stuck in a sense where, I don't know, I smell gun smoke, I see death in the air, I can't shake it. They say your dream right in front of you, spin, what the fuck you waiting for? Life, it doesn't slow down, it doesn't wait for us. This is some real shit. I understand like the feeling of both being in a position where everything just feels like it's in front of your face, but like, you know, life's still there and it's hard to move forward. Like there are days where you just might get crippled and you can't like do the basic shit you need to be doing. And I don't know, I really like this one because again, it's like more complex and then than just like the I'm gonna come through and fucking shoot you shit. It's more like I'm a human that has like a real set of problems I'm trying to work through. And I love the idea that he's saying, hey Siri, I ain't got no one who I can say this to because I'm afraid to open up and tell these people, and fuck the police, and my phone's tapped and I don't even know if you understand me, and who the fuck am I gonna talk to? Siri, what's up? And then fuck you, I won't respond to that. Like, you know, that's what it'd be like, you know, like even the fucking AI bot can't answer you, although there are AI bots now that will talk to you, but I wouldn't trust them, and they may snitch to the government if you do use one of those AI bots. You don't know what they're going to do with your conversations. I digress. This sounds pretty cool. It's a 4.5. It really hits in this whole other energy, which I think is kind of important as you're going through an album, is to be on the right energies with it and to let you know that you've gone through all of this and it's like, I'm not really okay. I don't even know who to talk to. Like, that's an interesting place to be at this late in the album. And there's one left, and it's Dead High Smoking 8. This is really a short, sweet, fucking, like, end it, letting you know that he's still Spinabenz track. Like, that's what I'm left with. Like, letting you know he's still Spinabenz, he's still here, and he's still ready to come get you when there's some consequences or there's some problems. And there really is shit like snitching, and it's again, it's related to people's ethics. It's not just like he's moving flagrantly with no reason or rhyme. It's like, nah, there are real consequences to shit he's seen in his life, and he has to deal with that shit. But this is hard. It's got like a grimy underground, like fucking spooky almost feel to the way he does it. He's more on his growl voice and shit, and it's really interesting. With that, I don't have a lot more to say except that it kind of ends it on this like note where he needs therapy and he's gonna get you. Like, it's an interesting place, you know, like, and it just kind of, I feel like, gives you a sense of he's maybe struggling to deal with the successes of everything that's coming with his life. And as much as things might look wonderful from the outside, when you're in a worse position, you just don't really know what the psychology of what people be dealing with is like. Anyway, I liked it a lot. It's a 4.5. It's a good way to end this project. And I guess that brings us to the project as a whole. I really like this Tornado Kid album. It's the type of shit where, like, let's say I didn't want to shuffle, and I'm going to go on a bike ride somewhere. Bike riding is my biggest music thing, right? Because when people listen to music, it doesn't matter what you create. People listen to music in environments. So unless somebody is in an environment that synergizes with your sound, it doesn't matter, right? Like, it just doesn't. So, but yeah, basically, this project would be excellent on a bike ride. I mean, I don't know if parents would appreciate that shit, but I'd probably still bump it while I'm cycling around the city. They can deal with the little fucking 30 seconds of it. It's like energy music to me a lot, and I like the way it kind of gets versatile. And even some of the songs where it might not have hit me right away, like, nah, they're really, like, they grow on you. And arguably country gospel drill song is something special, and y'all should bump that, if nothing else, on this project, even if you don't like it. And it doesn't sound like the rest of the album. It's not like a reflection of the album. It's just something special that I think is a really interesting accomplishment, where people can do a lot of things, but can you do a Who I Smoke and a country gospel drill song? That's nifty shit. You know, that's got a different level, is all I'm trying to say. So I liked it a lot, and I would recommend it to people that want to fuck with that more upbeat drill shit. That's where I'm at with this review. I appreciate everybody that came through and watched it in the futures and shit. We did it live on Twitch, so if you want to come through and ever bump it, typically we do them Sundays, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard, twitch.tv/behind that suit. And if you enjoyed this and want us to review a particular album, you can hit up the Patreon, patreon.com/behind that suit. And if you see this and you know Spinabenz and you can tell that dude to come do an interview with me, that would be fire. I would love to do that. You can peep my shit. My shit's aight. That's all I'm trying to say. And yeah, thank y'all for coming through. Appreciate everyone. And live long and prosper, everyone.